You know the one-liners. You've watched it every Christmas, but behind the glass and gunfire, Die Hard was almost a disaster. An on-set stunt that got way too real. One actor terrified that every day might be his last day on set. The permanent injury that Willis suffered while filming, and the lead role that almost went to someone so unlikely it would have been a completely different movie. So grab a Twinkie.
So get together, have a few laughs.
As we uncover 20 weird facts you didn't know about Die Hard. Number 1. The payday that shocked Hollywood. When 20th Century Fox decided to pay Bruce Willis $5 million to star in Die Hard, Hollywood went into shock. $5 million? For a TV actor whose only movie credit was a modest romantic comedy called Blind Date? The move caused an absolute uproar in the industry. Agents were furious. Studio executives called it reckless. But Willis? He just laughed it off, joking that the next day, every actor's salary rose to $5 million. In one deal, Die Hard didn't just launch Willis into superstardom, it reset the entire action hero pay scale forever. Safe to say, that bet paid off. Number 2. Thank you, Sybil Shepherd, for getting pregnant. Bruce Willis almost never made Die Hard, and we have an unexpected pregnancy to thank for changing that. Willis was locked into his moonlighting contract, filming the hit TV series that made him famous. His schedule was completely booked. Then fate intervened in the most unlikely way. His co-star, Sybil Shepherd, got pregnant, which freed up Willis's schedule at exactly the right moment. Willis later quipped that if I had gotten Sybil pregnant myself, I couldn't have planned it better to make the movie. Without that pregnancy, we might never have gotten John McClane, or Bruce Willis's career-defining role. Number 3, the star who was too old and too rich to be McClane. Before Bruce Willis ever set foot in Nakatomi Plaza, Frank Sinatra had first dibs on playing John McClane. Die Hard was adapted from a novel that was actually a sequel to a previous Frank Sinatra film called The Detective. Contractually, Sinatra had the right of first refusal for the lead role. When approached, Old Blue Eyes took one look at the script and declined with classic Sinatra swagger. I'm too old and too rich to reprise the role. The script was then completely reworked, so McClane became a younger, more relatable hero, paving the way for Bruce Willis to make movie history. Number 4. The actor who lived in fear of the axe. Hans Gruber's legendary coolness masked a terrified actor who was sure his career was over before it started. Die Hard was Alan Rickman's very first film role, and he was convinced he was bombing it. During early takes, crew members whispered that he blinked too much when firing a gun. Studio executives watched the dailies and thought his acting was too weak. They seriously considered replacing him. Rickman was so nervous, he actually told friends he expected to be fired any day. Only producer Joel Silver and cinematographer Jan de Bont vouched for him and kept him in the role. The man who created one of cinema's most iconic villains spent the entire shoot thinking he was about to get the boot. Number 5. The best scene wasn't even in the script. That brilliant moment where Hans Gruber pretends to be an escaped hostage, it was completely improvised on set. Someone realized Alan Rickman could do a convincing American accent, so they decided to test it out. Rickman tried a laid-back Californian drawl, and everyone loved it immediately. Writer Steve D'Souza quickly rewrote the scene so McClane wouldn't recognize Gruber right away, creating one of the film's best cat-and-mouse standoffs. Thanks to Rickman's unexpected accent skills, we got a scene that wasn't planned, wasn't scripted, but became absolutely unforgettable. Number 6. Rickman's terror was real. When Hans Gruber plunges off Nakatomi Tower, that look of pure terror on Alan Rickman's face is completely genuine. Director John McClane insisted Rickman do the stunt himself. No double. Then, he secretly told the stunt crew to drop Rickman 1 second early. Instead of dropping on the count of 3, they let him go on 1. The surprise caused real terror to flash across Rickman's face, exactly what McTiernan wanted. They used that very first take in the film, but the stunts took their toll. When shooting his first scene, Rickman felt his knee crack when he landed after jumping off a small ledge. He hobbled off to the hospital and returned with crutches and a leg brace. Ironically, he still shot the next scene, Gruber holding a gun to McClane's face, standing on one leg. Number 7. Fox Studios charged itself rent. The fictional Nakatomi Plaza is actually Fox Plaza, 20th Century Fox's own under-construction headquarters in Los Angeles. In a move that perfectly captures Hollywood's Byzantine accounting, Fox Studios actually charged itself rent for shooting in its own building. The corporate bean counters treated the movie production like any other tenant, sending bills to their own film division for use of their own property. It's the kind of absurd Hollywood math that only makes sense to executives and gave Die Hard the perfect skyscraper setting. Number 8. You could actually call Nakatomi Plaza. Pay close attention to the dispatcher's computer screen in the movie. Those phone numbers and addresses for Nakatomi Plaza management were completely real. They were actual contact details for Fox Plaza. If you had called that number back in 1988, you would have reached the real building's office. The attention to detail was so thorough that the fictional Nakatomi Corporation had a working phone line, at least until they changed the number after too many fans started calling. Number 9. Bruce Willis suffered real battle scars. The movie's gunfire sounds incredibly intense for a very real reason. They used custom-made ultra-loud blanks that packed more punch than normal movie weapons. During filming, an on-set accident with those powerful guns left Bruce Willis 2/3 deaf in his left ear, a permanent injury he carries to this day. Willis later joked about it in interviews, saying, "You'll excuse me if I keep saying, 'what?' referencing the mishap that damaged his hearing forever." John McClane's battle scars were real, and Bruce Willis has been living with them for over 30 years. Number 10. The title came from a completely different movie. Die Hard wasn't even the original title. It was borrowed from a completely different screenplay. The name actually came from writer Shane Black, who had titled an unused script Die Hard. Producer Joel Silver convinced Black to lend the title to this movie instead. The original novel's author was so frustrated with his own work, he said the only good thing about his book was this film adaptation. So Die Hard became Die Hard through pure Hollywood deal-making, and the title that defined action movies came from a script that never got made. Number 11. Christmas meets Shakespeare. Seriously. Director John McTiernan had a surprisingly literary inspiration for Die Hard's structure. He imagined the film as a Midsummer Night's Dream flipped upside down, with Christmas playing the festive, magical role that Midsummer played in Shakespeare. McTiernan thought of it as a wild, one-night fairy tale gone completely wrong. He turned Christmas, normally peaceful and joyful, into pure chaos and violence. He was so excited by this concept that he secretly structured McClane's Midsummer Adventure around Shakespeare's framework without even telling the studio. So yes, Die Hard is basically Shakespeare with machine guns and explosions. Number 12. The marital fight was totally improvised. That raw, uncomfortable scene where John and Holly argue in her apartment about her name change, none of it was scripted. Director McTiernan told Bruce Willis and Bonnie Bedelia to just argue naturally, drawing inspiration from Willis's sharp banter on Moonlighting. He added nothing on paper, just let them go at each other with real, improvised dialogue. That unscripted chemistry, no script, all instinct, made the scene feel devastatingly real and gave their relationship genuine emotional weight. Number 13. They took shots at Arnold. The writers even managed to poke fun at the A-list action stars who passed on playing John McClane. When McClane quips about enough plastic explosives to orbit Schwarzenegger, that hits a little different once you know Schwarzenegger was actually offered the role, but turned it down after Sinatra declined and before Willis got the call. The movie literally roasted the action hero who said no, while making Bruce Willis the biggest action star in Hollywood. Number 14. Gene Hackman almost played the Twinkie cop. Sergeant Al Powell, the street-smart, Twinkie-loving cop who becomes McClane's lifeline, was almost played by a Hollywood legend. Producers seriously considered Gene Hackman for the role before Reginald VelJohnson got the call. According to VelJohnson, Wesley Snipes also auditioned for Sergeant Al Powell, so the character might have turned out completely different. And fans loved VelJohnson so much that they'd actually tossed Twinkies to him in real life, a playful nod to his character's snack obsession. Number 15. Hans Gruber stole his name from a 60s spy spoof. Despite how original and menacing Hans Gruber sounds, the name wasn't Shakespeare or high literature at all. Screenwriter Steve D'Souza admits he borrowed it directly from the villain in the 1966 spy spoof, Our Man Flint. In that movie, the bad guy, played by Michael St. Clair, was also named Hans Gruber, decades before Alan Rickman made the name legendary. So one of cinema's most iconic villains got his name from a forgotten 60s comedy, proving that great art often comes from the most unexpected places. Number 16. The FBI agents were a running joke. When two FBI agents show up at Nakatomi Plaza, they introduce themselves as Special Agent Johnson and Agent Johnson. No relation, as they deadpan. This was an intentional inside joke aimed at actor Reginald VelJohnson, who plays Al Powell. Director McTiernan loved the name Johnson so much that he made sure the screenwriters repeatedly had characters say it throughout the movie, a running gag that most viewers never noticed. It was McTiernan's way of giving VelJohnson a subtle tribute while keeping audiences completely in the dark. Number 17. The vent shaft fall that was too real to cut. One of the most unforgettable moments in Die Hard wasn't carefully staged. It was an accident. During the tense sequence where McClane crawls through the ventilation shaft, the stuntman was supposed to grab the very first vent ledge. Instead, he slipped, plummeting several feet farther than intended. Rather than scrap the footage, editor Frank Urioste cut the fall together with the planned grab, turning it into a seamless shot of McClane catching himself just in time. The mistake worked so well, it sold the illusion of a desperate, everyman cop barely surviving by luck and grit. That one unscripted drop ended up defining the character. Messy, human, and always one slip away from disaster.
Number 18. Bruce Willis donated his bloody shirt to America. Bruce Willis didn't just sell Die Hard merchandise, he made a patriotic donation to preserve movie history. He donated his actual blood-stained tank top from the fight scenes to the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. His filthy, battle-worn undershirt, along with a Die Hard poster, is now on permanent display next to other iconic American pop culture artifacts. So, if you ever visit the nation's capital, you can see John McClane's actual shirt, complete with real movie blood and 30 years of cinematic history.
Number 19. The candy bar that gave a henchman a personality. Just before the SWAT team storms Nakatomi Plaza, one of the terrorists pauses near a concession stand and casually grabs a candy bar. It wasn't in the script. That subtle bit of improvisation came from actor and stuntman Al Leong, who played the henchman known as Uli. It's a quiet, almost humorous moment in an otherwise tense setup, and it stood out. Suddenly, Uli wasn't just another anonymous bad guy. He had a quirk, a flicker of humanity, something memorable. According to screenwriter Stephen E. D'Souza, that small gesture helped keep the character alive a little longer on screen. It didn't save him in the plot, but it made him interesting enough that the filmmakers gave him more time before his eventual showdown. In a movie full of gunmen, the guy who stopped for a snack became one of the most oddly iconic.
Number 20. A refrigerator box literally changed cinema history. Die Hard's entire hero was rewritten because of a random refrigerator box on the side of the road. Writer Jeb Stewart was having a heated argument with his wife. He stormed out, slammed the door, and drove off in frustration. Then he nearly crashed into a stray refrigerator box sitting in the middle of the street. That sudden jolt of adrenaline gave him an idea. He scrapped the original old detective hero from the novel and completely rewrote John McClane as a 30-something cop with attitude. A refrigerator box sitting in the wrong place at exactly the right time literally changed the course of action movie history.
Tell us your favorite Die Hard moment and which fact surprised you the most in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, happy trails.